Hello and welcome back for another episode of the Hesse Bros podcast. B. Hess and joining me, it's my brother Luke again as we're moving on another week of the NFL season in the books. Week 9 down, we're on to week 10 of the football season. Luke, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing amazing. You already know. Hey, the Hoosiers got another dub. 9-0. Watch out. We're going to be making it to the college football playoff. But also, the Lions and the Chiefs get another W. The two best teams in the NFL, they're on the rise. What a great week of football. Let's go, B. Hess.
I mean, really, there's no better podcast in the world that's covering Chiefs and Lions football. And those are clearly the two best teams in the NFL right now. I don't know if anybody's arguing that. Maybe some idiots. I think I did see the Chiefs down there in somebody's power rankings. It was way low. But there's some idiots out there, not us though. You a little bit at the end of last week. For the first time all season, the 12 pack did not end with a nice Chief on top. So we'll see what happens there. It's my turn to take down a 12 pack. And we've got to recap some big games, starting with where at?
Let's start on Thursday night. It was about a week and a half ago, but guess what? The Jets got the W. Aaron Rodgers finally came alive. It took him over half the season, right? The entire first half of the season, his first 8.5 games, he was terrible. And then he comes alive in the second half of that game, gets the W against the Texans. Garrett Wilson goes absolutely jump man on them boys
Yes.
and gets the W for the Jets. That was a crazy game to watch. And do you think the Jets can end up making a push to the playoffs in the AFC? You know, that wild card spot, maybe 6 or 7, could be open for them. What do you think, BS?
Well, it's wide open. There's not very many good teams in the AFC. We say that every week. So theoretically, yes, it's definitely possible. But I think it was more of a case of the Texans not playing well, making a lot of mistakes. Stroud couldn't complete a ball because he didn't have anybody to throw it to, and he didn't have any time in the pocket. More so than what the Jets were doing, because the Jets were still doing some really dumb things. They dropped the ball at the 1 yard line. They roughed the punter. They roughed the snapper. I mean, they were trying to give that game away. Rodgers had like 35 yards at the halftime. So I'm not ready to go all in on the Jets or anywhere close to all in because, yeah, they got to win against a good team. I'll give them that. But still, a lot of problems it really was more of a negative on the Texans, I think, than a positive on the Jets.
That makes a lot of sense. The Texans have been dealing with injuries, and CJ Stroud, I called him out as an MVP candidate, and this is where I'll take my L. He doesn't look like it right now. He needs his weapons. As far as Nico Collins goes, Tank Dell playing amazing, and Stephon Diggs. That was the only way he was going to be able to make an absolute push for the MVP this year. And he just doesn't have it at this point, especially with that pretty bad offensive line that's trying to protect him. We'll see what the Texans can do the rest of the season, but it's not looking great at this point in the year. What other games you want to talk about from last week?
Well, one team that almost went down that the Texans did beat by a field goal, won by a field goal. Tyler Bass, a 61-yarder against the Dolphins. The Dolphins with Tua were very sneaky against the Bills. That was another one neither of us were really locked in on. We both had the Texans, and I think we both thought the Bills could win that one comfortably. But the Dolphins played them right to the brink. Waddle with a late touchdown, but then it was the Bills, Tyler Bass, and then it was Jordan Poyer, right? The former Bill that made that bad late hit, helmet to helmet on the receiver that got him into field goal range. Dolphins, if they would have won, we could be talking about them like the Jets, like, okay, that's not too late for them to get into the playoff contention. Instead, they lose by a game-winning field goal back-to-back weeks since Tua's been back.
And that was just sad to see. And the main takeaway I get from that game is where is Tyreek Hill? Tua's back. Tyreek Hill is supposed to be one of the best wide receivers in the league, and he's nowhere to be found on the field. You think he can use his speed to get open? They can't find him. And at the end of the day, I feel like they just didn't have enough production on offense to be able to get it done. Waddle didn't have a great game. He had one touchdown, but that was it. And that's not going to be enough. You can't rely on Devon Achane the entire game. The Dolphins are really in an interesting spot where they have an offense that you think can make it, far in the playoffs if they get the right matchups. But it's just not going the right way for them right now. And it's going to be interesting to see them the rest of the year. You got to give a hats off to the Bills, though. That's a good team. I was on the Dolphins last week, but it didn't end up working out. I thought they'd be able to make an extra play and get the W. And there you have it.
Well, where Tyreek Hill should be is on the Kansas City Chiefs. He loved watching DeAndre Hopkins pop for the Chiefs. I thought maybe there's a chance at late trade deadline, Tyreek back in Kansas City. You know, he's always messaging and Snapchatting and posting about it. How he misses the Chiefs so bad, but just didn't get it done. So he's stuck in Miami the rest of the season. Yeah, good win for the Bills. Chiefs will be playing them next week. That'll be a very exciting one.
Exactly. And moving on here, we got the Rams beating the Seahawks last week in overtime. That was a crazy game. The longest touchdown of the season with an 103-yard interception return for a touchdown for the Rams. That was a crazy game. And I had the Rams absolutely. I was riding with the Rams and the Lions in that late window. We needed them, and finally Stafford comes through, even in overtime, whenever it looked like the Seahawks were dead in the water. They come back. They're about to win the game in overtime in regulation. But no, Stafford comes back and he's ready to go. Puka throws a punch. This dude's ready to fucking scrap. He doesn't even care. And guess what? The Rams end up getting the W, and that's what it's all about. And honestly, this team with the weapons that they've got on offense, Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Stafford at quarterback, you can call them a top five offense in the league. There's no doubt about it. And if their defense can step up to the challenge, there's no team that they can't beat, especially in the NFC and with the rest of the schedule going forward in that NFC West. With the other teams right around 500, they could end up taking that division.
I also had the Rams. I live bet them live at halftime when they were down 13-3, so that was massive. Are they the most dangerous team in the NFC West?
I think so. You know, the Cardinals, they have a pretty solid quarterback in Kyler, but I just don't think they have the weapons. Marvin Harrison, he needs a little bit more. He needs to show a little bit more, I think, to, put him on that level with some of the other top wide receivers in the league. And right now, you already have the Rams with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, like I said. Their offense is something to be worried about for the rest of the NFC. And, the 49ers are getting Christian McCaffrey back this week, most likely. So we'll have to see how that offense looks. But as far as the Rams go, I think they have the best quarterback in the division and probably the best weapons overall. The 49ers are going to be a toss up as far as, where that division is going to land. But it's going to be interesting to watch the rest of the season. I'm definitely scared of the Rams as a Lions fan, even though obviously we put them in the dirt last year in the playoffs.
It was a close game. Yes, Rams are good. I'm going to say no, they're not the most dangerous team in the NFC West. They're a good team, but I think there's at least one I like more, and we will talk about that later on in the pod. But Rams, very good team, better than the Seahawks. Big road win, and they're right in the mix, absolutely. Well, any other game you want to talk about before we talk Chiefs and Lions?
You know what? Let's get right into it. The Lions, you know, there's all this contemplation about Jared Goff being a player that can't play in the rain. He can't play in the conditions. Put him outside, he's going to fold. Guess what? He keeps the exact same streak he's been going with for the last 6 games. He's a beast. He completes his first 11 passes of the game and gets the Lions a huge lead. And in the second half, we don't even have to play football. I mean, honestly, it's just boring. The Lions are so good, we don't even have to worry about the second half because we already know we're going to win. It's so awesome. Like, this team is absolutely ready to beat any team in their path. And you can see it by the way that their offense is built. Ben Johnson calls those first 25 plays before the game even starts, and every single one is ready to get us a first down and get us in the end zone whenever the time comes. The Lions are just too good. And Jordan Love's over here folding, throwing it at his own offensive line and letting us get a pick six. Like, come on. It's too easy for the Lions right now. And honestly, it's getting kind of boring. I liked it whenever there was a chance we could lose, but the Lions are just too good right now. Like, we're not going to lose to any of these scrubs we're playing.
There was certainly a chance they could have lost that Vikings game. And I'll tell you, there was another team they had a chance to lose to. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But yes, Jordan Love, he went full Levis again, just absolutely just throwing a terrible ball. You never want to go full Levis. And he's done it twice now this season. But I'm impressed. I will admit it. What does Jared Goff hate the most? Incomplete passes. He hates them. It doesn't matter whether he's outside or inside. I used to think, what did Jared Goff hate the most? Natural grass, weather, wind. No, that's not what he hates the most anymore. It's incomplete passes. He hates them. He doesn't ever want the ball on the ground. And I have to tell you, I'm very impressed. Lions are looking great, protecting really well. Those guys are fun to watch with Amon Ra, whether he's doing handstands or headstands or catching the ball over the middle. Sneaky Sam Laporta, both the running backs. And then now an upgrade in the pass rushing unit that may be huge. What do you think about the addition of Zadarius Smith at the trade deadline?
All the Lions fans were waiting to see which defensive end we were going to get. We already lost Davenport at the start of the season, and obviously Hutchinson's going to be gone until the Super Bowl. He's going to be back. Mark my words. But getting Zadarius Smith is going to help out our defense a whole lot. Trust me, we're going to be able to get a little bit of pass rush, and that's all that these defensive backs need. It's a new group working together in the defensive backfield. And we've seen every week the defensive backfield has been getting a lot better. And so as soon as we get a little bit of pass rush, it's only going to make them that much better. The Lions are going to be one of the top defenses in the league from here on out, even without having Hutchinson. And I mean, they kicked Branch out of the game. They tried to stymie our defense, and we still held the Packers to 14 points, one of the best offenses in the league, even with Branch out for more than half of the game. It's looking really good for the Lions. And also, shout out St. Brown, 30 passes in a row thrown to him, 30 targets, 30 catches. It doesn't get better than that. I mean, that's called a connection on another level. Jared Goff and the Lions and Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the best wide receivers in the league. It's going to be hard to beat these Lions. I don't know who's going to be able to do it. Not even your team over there in Little Old Missouri. It ain't going to work.
Well, let's talk about that team because that team just might have had the best win of the season, beating the Buccaneers. Because who could beat the Lions? Well, there's only one team that's done it, and that was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the Chiefs battle out a tough win against those Buccaneers. Scrappy team that Lions couldn't seem to handle at home, but the Chiefs get it done at home in overtime over Tampa and the Bake Show. Great win. Patrick Mahomes passes for 3 passing touchdowns. First time he's done that in 21 games. They have to go all the way back to, I believe, the first game that Taylor Swift ever attended at Arrowhead Stadium when the Chiefs took on the Bears early last season, either week 3 or week 4. It's been a long time since Mahomes has had 3 passing touchdowns in a game. Well, he did it. All it took was a week with DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best receivers in the NFL. At least he was. He was the best receiver in the league in his prime. I think he's got plenty left in the tank. He's showing it, making great catches, going up, contested third down catches, in the end zone catches, opening the field up for Kelsey to have 14 catches and 100 yards. And that offense was looking the best it's looked all season. And that is after last week against the Raiders. I think it was one of the best it looked all season. Kareem Hunt just rumbling on the ground. He loves just getting between 3 and 8 yards every single carry. Never more, never less. But it works out just fine because then Mahomes, what's Mahomes' favorite down? It's third down. He delivered all 3 of his touchdowns on third down. And the Chiefs, for once this season, it wasn't really the defense winning them the game. It was the offense. And you know what? I'm fine with that because the defense still have their moments. George Karlaftis still came up with some massive plays, and the Chiefs did enough because their defense didn't have to be back out on the field. As soon as Baker Mayfield lost the coin toss, he knew he was toast, and the Chiefs just walked the dog up the field, and everyone knew it was coming, and that was a walk-off winner, and it was Kareem Hunt. Chiefs 8-0.
All right, BS. I knew you were going to bring up how the Lions lost to the Bucks and the Chiefs just beat them. But let's look at what the Bucks team was whenever they beat the Lions in week 2. They had Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. You're telling me if the Bucks didn't have the if the Bucks had those two players against the Chiefs last week, whenever it took overtime, right? You're telling me without those two players, the Bucks wouldn't have beat the Chiefs in that game? Come on now.
Okay,
Those are two of the best wide
let's talk
receiver
about who
duos
the
in the
who
league.
the Chiefs didn't have this week that they'll have come the playoffs. Their running back, Isaiah Pacheco. Their receiver, Hollywood Brown. Their cornerback, Justin Watson, Jalen Watson. They'll be having all those guys back. And guess what? So, yeah, everyone has injuries. I don't want to hear about, oh, there's injuries. The Chiefs have lost their two best wide receivers. That's why they had to get Hopkins because of Rice and Brown. Rice was probably out for the season. You have some delusional hope that Hutchinson's going to be back by the Super Bowl. I guess I could say the same thing about Rashee Rice, even though that's just absolute insanity. Unfortunately, he's not coming back this year, but Hollywood Brown is. So, yes, of course, there's injuries for every team. Says the National Football League, Luke. No excuses. You go out on the field with who you got, whether it's Cade Otton Candy or not, and you ball out.
Hey, that's fair. I know the Chiefs deserve to win that game because the Bucks coach didn't decide to go for two and called that timeout. They could have ran the clock down to 15 seconds and then got the touchdown, went for two and got it. And then the game would have been over before the Chiefs had a chance to kick the field goal.
Oh,
That
15
didn't end up
seconds.
happening.
If
I
it
think team I
if it was 15 seconds, it's not over, Luke. We know that. Maybe if they would have scored a touchdown, like you said, they don't use a timeout. They score with like 8 seconds, maybe 11, maybe even 12 seconds. It's over. 13 seconds, it's definitely not over. So we know that for a fact. And then when they score with 30 seconds on the clock, I think that, even if they go for two and get it, you don't think Mahomes with three timeouts with 30 seconds is going to get field goal range. So the 2 point conversion, I don't think was the worst call. It's debatable. The worst call was definitely the timeout once they got down inside the 2 yard line. I agree with that. They could have at least waited until less than 20 seconds were on the clock to take that timeout. But yes, I mean if the Chiefs are getting the ball back with 30 seconds down one, I think we all know what's happening.
exactly. And that's why you have to wait. I mean, I feel like teams against the Chiefs just make dumb mistakes.
They freak
Like they're
out
just
because they're
doing
playing
things
against.
like they think,
Exactly. They freak out because they know they
yeah,
have to press to win. They can't just play regular football to win. They have to press. They have to do different things.
yeah, and they freak out. They think, you know what, this is the Chiefs. This is the team that's won the last two Super Bowls. They're undefeated. I'm just freaking out. I don't know how to coach a regular football game. In any other game, you wait for the clock to go down, and then you don't give the other team a chance to get the ball back when you're on the 1 yard line to score a touchdown. It's not that hard to understand. Anyone that's watched football understands that. And it just makes you think like, what's going on as far as these coaching decisions are going against the Chiefs? But at the end of the day, we're just gonna have to watch the rest of the season and see how it plays out for them. Good win for the Chiefs. You're still undefeated. We'll see how it plays out the rest of the year. I can't wait.
And great win for me. I don't know if you took any of my props, but if you did, you were a rich man because I said over Hopkins yards, that hit in the second quarter. I said over Cade Otton Candy yards, that one hit in the third quarter. Yes, balloons for Cade Otton Candy. And under on the running backs yards, both Bucky and Rashad White went under on their totals. Bucky's was 32. He had 24 yards. Rashad White's was 27. He had 19 yards. So it was a big win for prop ball for B Hess. And of course, in the end, Chiefs get the dub as well.
There you go. Well, over the week, we had one coaching change. My boy Dennis Allen gets fired. Saints suck. Shout out Q Dog. I know you like that. That's awesome.
Hey, and
And now, hey,
Q
let's
Dog
move on
like
to the
those
next week.
Q Dog like those Bucks losing too. He was a big Chiefs fan this week. His Falcons are looking good in the division. All right, let's move on to
Absolutely.
this week. Let's start Thursday. Hopefully, we can have this one out. Everyone can watch before Thursday night football. But a big one, a rumble in the bank. Ravens, Bengals. Bengals need this one to stay alive. I think they're 4-5. I mean, they'll be all right at 4-6. They won't be all right, but they'll still be in the mix. But they'll need some help. So a huge opportunity for the Ravens, kind of to almost put the Bengals away for the season if they can get the season sweep. And when these two teams play each other, it's crazy they're already playing for the second time this early when it's one of the biggest matchups and biggest, division conflicts there is in the NFL. But it's already their second matchup, and the first one was a doozy. We can only hope for more of the same.
And I think it will be more of the same. You got to take the over in this game. 53 points. Both of these secondaries are trash. Lamar Jackson is throwing the ball better than he ever has in his career. There's no doubt about it. He's more accurate, and he's just really playing so well. Same with Joe Burrow on the other side of the ball. This is going to be a high scoring affair, and it's really going to come down to which one of these secondaries can make a play whenever it comes down to it. And both of them are pretty trash. So it's going to be a great game. Give me the Bengals though on this one. Like Joe Burrow has been playing really well. Derrick Henry's going to be able to run it on him. Lamar Jackson's playing well, but I think it's going to come down to the wide receiving core in this game because of what I said about the defensive backs on both of these teams. Jamar Chase is going to be able to get open. I think T. Higgins is probably going to be back this game. And so the Bengals are going to be able to get it done with their better receiving core. Joe Burrow has been playing so well all year, and I think he's going to be able to get a lot of touchdowns on this defense. I don't think the Ravens are going to have enough to be able to make it up.
No love for the additions the Ravens made, Deontay Johnson to spark that receiving core. But I do think the over is very interesting because both these teams scored 41 points last weekend. They both scored 41. So, yes, offenses are cooking. It is a high NFL total, but still probably not high enough when these two teams square off. I think the Ravens win. I like the Ravens in this game. Lamar just has Joe Burrow's number. He has the Bengals' number. And at home, I think that crowd's going to get behind him. I trust Lamar in this spot. But yeah, I expect it to be a great game.
Heck yeah, it's going to be a good one. Now, let's move on to a few matchups at 1 o'clock. We can skip over Germany. Everyone sleep in. It's
Yes.
the Giants versus the Panthers. Sleep in. That's a terrible game. No one wants to watch it.
If you
Let's
happen
go
to wake
on.
up at the in the fourth quarter, I guess you can turn it on, but yeah, you don't need to get up before that.
Nah, that's terrible. Let's go on. I kind of like this Colts versus Bills game, right? Joe Flacco came in last week against the Bills or against the Vikings, and now he's going up against the Bills. The Bills are only 4-point favorites. Joe Flacco looked like absolute trash in
Yes, he
that
let
game
me
against
down
the
big
Vikings.
time. I was on Colts spread, let me down big time.
I know. They should have been able to make plays. And Sam Darnold turned into a pumpkin, and it didn't even matter because the other offense could not do anything. And so, against this Bills defense, Joe Flacco, it's not going to be good. The Bills are going to absolutely destroy. They absolutely tear down teams that are way worse than them. That's the thing about the Bills. They destroy bad teams, and against really good teams, they flounder. And
Yes.
so at this point, the Colts are not a good team with the offense that they're putting out there. Slam the Bills.
I like that. I like that a lot. Here's one that I'm interested in. The Steelers on the road at Washington. Both these two teams have just two losses and are at the top of their respective divisions, ahead of the Ravens and the Eagles, who were much higher regarded to start the year. So, who wins and stays in first place in their division between Pittsburgh and Washington?
This is the game of the week as far as the 1 o'clock games go. And it's two teams that, a lot of people coming into the year are like, it's just going to be a middling team. Who really cares about them? But these are two teams that are looking to make a run for their division championship, like you said, and in the playoffs. But I like the Steelers here. Mike Tomlin getting his defense ready against a rookie quarterback. I feel like he's going to be able to see some things that Jaden Daniels isn't doing perfect. Like, obviously, he's a great quarterback and he's doing really well so far this season. But there's a lot of things that I feel like can be nitpicked, and he's going to be able to exploit in this matchup. Russell Wilson has been playing really good as soon as he took the reins with the Steelers a few weeks ago. And the Washington defense has been playing pretty well, but not against great competition. I feel like the Steelers are going to be able to get it done in this game. This is definitely the upset of the week. I'd slam the money line for the Steelers. This is the way to go this week.
What's impressed me the most is the way that both teams going all in, really. Because didn't the Steelers make a couple moves at the deadline? I know they signed a pass rusher from Green Bay. I think they made another move. And then also Washington got Marshawn Lattimore. So both these teams are being aggressive late, trying to put together really good teams going forward. And I think what's just impressed me the most is Jaden's just steadiness, just continuing to rack up wins over wins week after week. But I agree, this is one of the biggest tests he's had to face probably since that game in Cincinnati, which feels ages ago.
Yeah, and it's going to be a good game. Everyone's going to have their eyes on it, and it's one of those things where it's like, can Jaden play up to par against one of the best defenses in the league? We're all going to watch it play out. I think it's one of those times where he might have one of those rookie moments that you think he's a great player in the league. He just doesn't have the experience. I think everyone, as far as the public is going for Washington. It's time to fade them against a good Steelers team. And now let's move on here to the Falcons against the Saints. Right now, the Falcons are 3.5 point underdog or 3.5 point favorites.
Mhm.
You got to give me the Falcons here, even though they fired Dennis Allen right for
Like
the
a trap,
Saints.
3.5. It just scares me so much because I agree with you. Falcons are much the better team. Saints are in turmoil, but what always happens the week after a team fires their coach, they get that little bump. And I could easily see Saints only losing this one by three or even somehow winning at home against the Falcons. It's a division game, but I agree on paper, Falcons way better than 3.5 points, better than the Saints, but that's just what scares me about it.
Yeah, it is definitely a little bit scary, but the Saints secondary is not very good. And like you just said, they gave away Marshawn Lattimore. And right now, the Falcons are actually doing really good as far as their passing game goes. Kirk Cousins is airing it out not only to Drake London, who's overperformed his expectations for this year. Darnell Mooney doing way better than people expected as well. And they have other weapons to throw the ball to, Kyle Pitts. And I just feel like the Falcons are going to be able to put up that extra touchdown whenever it matters. They're going to get this done pretty easily.
Okay. Here's one that we maybe not even about the spread, but just in general, this NFC East matchup, Eagles at Cowboys. Now the Cowboys, are they completely cooked? Dak Prescott on IR. Falcons smacked them around last week. Dallas 3-5. Meanwhile, Philadelphia came out really good against Jacksonville. Looked like they were just gonna run away with it. Then they almost blew it late. They got about as close as you can to blowing a 22-point lead without actually doing so. And it's a big rivalry, Eagles Cowboys, but no Dak in this game. What are your thoughts? Is Dallas season over, or if they win, do they are they still alive, and do they have a chance to win?
I don't think they have a chance to win. The Eagles have been playing really well recently, and the Dallas Cowboys might think that Jonathan Mingo for a fourth round pick is their savior. He's not. Like the Cowboys don't have the running game. They're going to rely on Rico Dowdle and Cooper Rush throwing it to CD. It's not going to work. The Eagles have been absolutely rolling these last 4 weeks. And honestly, the Eagles are the biggest threat to the Detroit Lions in the NFC at this point. And it's hard to say that they're going to lose to the Cowboys. They're not a very good team. I feel like the Eagles are going to be able to roll over them. 7 points is a good spread. I'm probably not going to take either side, but Eagles are going to win this one.
Wow, Eagles, biggest threat to the Lions in the NFC. That's a bold statement, Luke, especially considering neither of us were high on the Eagles to start the year. Well, I guess it's time to talk some Chiefs and Lions in their matchups. I'll be at Arrowhead Stadium Sunday for Broncos Chiefs, getting to watch Kansas City play those stinky, stinky donkeys. And last year was the first time since Peyton Manning was on the sidelines and in the game that the Broncos had beaten the Chiefs, 14 straight wins. Then Kansas City lost in Denver. So now trying to get this one back. And Denver's a surprise team with a winning record, 5-4. They got absolutely obliterated by Baltimore last week, 41-10. Wasn't surprised by that result. Broncos do have a good defense, but I just think that they've been beaten up on trash teams. And I don't know if the Chiefs blow them out, if the Chiefs can keep that offense going. but I think the Broncos will be lucky to score 17 points in this game. And of course, the Chiefs are at least getting to 20. Even if they struggle, I could see the closest it is 2017 maybe. But I'm confident in Kansas City winning this game. Of course, they're 8-point favorites, and Chiefs don't like covering spreads, so could a 23-14 game, I guess they'd still cover that. But something like that, 21-14, absolutely could be in play. I just am excited to see the Chiefs against a division game, against a division rival at Arrowhead. I think it's going to be a fun, fun day.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a classic Kansas City Chiefs game. Just bet the other team's spread. It's really that easy. It worked the last 2 weeks. I mean, they're going to win the game whenever it comes down to the wire, but they're not really that good of a team to where they can blow anyone out. And the Broncos have been doing some good things. The Broncos really have. And Bo Nix is playing well. They have a solid enough defense to where Mahomes isn't going to put up 30 points. There's no way the Chiefs get to 30. And the Broncos are going to be able to put up, you know, like Brent said, 17 to 20. That's an easy 7 point spread cover. But the Chiefs are probably going to come out on top.
It's not that the Chiefs aren't good enough to blow anybody out, it's that they don't care to blow anybody out. They're not here for style points. They're just here to win games. So they just do what they need to do to win. That's what they do. They just play around, and then when it comes to the fourth quarter, Mahomes, if he's down 7, he drives down the field, ties it up. Then if it's still tied, he drives down the field again, takes the lead. Then it's tied in overtime, he drives down the field, wins the game. It's not because they can't blow anybody out, it's because they don't choose to. It doesn't benefit them at all to do so, so they don't. It's not because they can't. That's just silliness to say. But maybe what sometimes works is betting the other team to cover. What has worked every single game of the season, bar none, 8 for 8, is to bet the other team's running back under yards. There's been one running back this year that's gotten to 60, no, one player that's gotten to 60 rushing yards against the Chiefs. It was Lamar Jackson in week 1. He got for 100. Derrick Henry, under 40 yards rushing. Bijan Robinson, under 40 yards rushing. The only one that came close, Jordan Mason, 58. His under was 62. That one still hit for me. That's the most anybody scored. Even this week, everyone was scared. Oh, man, Bucky Irving's over is only 32. Surely he gets that. Rashad White's only 27. Surely he gets that. No, neither of them even came within 8 yards of getting it. So, whatever Javonte Williams' under is, just hammer it because it will hit. Because every single one, 8 for 8, and 9 for 9 if you include the backups like Bucky Irving and Rashad White. Might as well take 2 wins in last week. So that is the guarantee.
I love it, B. Hess. As much as I love, going against you on some of these things, the Chiefs' run defense is definitely the best. It's so easy to just take the unders on these players, and I love what you've been giving us this whole year. I love to see it, B. Hess. And hey, the Chiefs are getting
Until
another
somebody
W. I'm saying 9
eventually
and 0.
Eventually, somebody maybe I guess will have a long run and make it not a factual statement anymore. But for the time being, it's a factual statement that 8 straight weeks the other team's starting running back has not hit the total. So it's complete just money print at this point. But that is the Chiefs play, I guess, of the week. I'm excited to see if Hopkins and Kelsey keep it going. But we will, especially with the Broncos D. I don't know if I'll be taking any Chiefs offensive lines. Just like I said, other team running back. Now, Lions have a big game this week. They are Sunday night in Houston.
It's going to be a good one. Maybe for the first quarter. It might be getting a little bit boring by the time we get to the second half. The Lions are going to roll over these Texans. The only thing that the Texans have had going for them for the last few weeks is their running game with Joe Mixon. What do the Lions do well? Stop the run.
Second best in
It's
the
gonna
league.
it it's too good of a matchup for the Lions. And especially because Jared Goff is playing so well, it's not a terrible environment in Houston. Jared Goff is going to be throwing that ball around the field. We're going to get a couple score lead going into the, middle of the second quarter into halftime. And at that point, we know that the Lions can play with the lead and really play with the other team. Like other teams are over here scared that, you're embarrassing us. Everyone's getting embarrassed whenever they play the Lions. Oh, guess what? There's another team on our schedule. They're probably going to get embarrassed too. Every team gets embarrassed when they play the Lions. It's going to happen again this week. I can't wait to see it. I feel like this is the type of week where we get Jameson Williams back involved. He just came off of a 2 game suspension, and it's time for him to get the ball back in his hands. We're going to be looking for him on a few plays, and that JMO deep ball always hits when we need it. I think it's going to be a good day for the Lions. Easily take that over 3.5 points. They just want Lions fans to make money. They're trying to get Detroit. I think this might be the reparations they've been talking about. Get Detroit some money back. Come on, let's go.
Nico Collins playing because if not, then the Texans are in trouble passing the ball. Those receivers they trotted out there on Thursday, not impressive. However, they do have extra time now to rest, so if the Texans can get a little bit healthier. But that offensive line, bad. Those receivers, worse.
It's going to be too easy. And it's like they're just handing it out to the Lions. Like they don't even watch the games. 3.5 points. It should easily be 5, 6. But they just want us to make money, and I'm willing to take it if they want to give it to me. Let's go, Lions. Give me a David Montgomery touchdown. It's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks without a touchdown for Montgomery. It's time to get him in the end zone. And it's just going to be a great day for all the Lions fans out there. Too easy. Let's go.
Well, you gave me an upset pick earlier when you took the Steelers over Washington. It's time for me to give you my upset pick of the week, and it comes Monday night, the last game of the weekend. That's the Dolphins in Los Angeles against the Rams. We already talked about both these teams a little bit, so I'll keep it brief. But Dolphins have lost both their games with Tua on game-winning field goals against the Cardinals and the Bills. The Rams are maybe on par with the Cardinals in terms of caliber of a team. I don't think they're as good as the Bills, and I think that now Tua, that was his first week back against the Cardinals, looking a little bit better. Season's on the line for the Dolphins. They can't afford to lose this game. So I think that Miami goes into LA, gets the W Monday night. Rams are a good team as well. I just think that the Dolphins, if they're healthy with Tua, they're right there to contend. So I'll take the Dolphins as my upset pick of the week.
That's a fair enough pick. I kind of like the Rams in this one just because it's going to be an offensive showdown, right? But I think Stafford's going to be able to pull it out in the win. Tua's still trying to get back into, what he's been doing for his entire career and getting the ball out to his playmakers. I just haven't seen enough from those wide receivers. With Tyreek and Waddle, they seem to be falling off a little bit as far as Puka and Cooper go. They're on the trend back to where they were previously. So I'm gonna have to go with the Rams here. But it's gonna be a nice matchup on Monday night. I can't wait to watch that one. Any other games you want to talk about before we get into that 12 pack BS?
I'm getting thirsty. I'm ready for a 12 pack unless you've got anything else to add.
Let's go. 12 pack it up.
Okay, top 12 teams in the NFL. The 12 pack. Starting at number 12 is those not even sneaky anymore. They're not even sneaky. They're just straight up good. The Arizona Cardinals coming off back-to-back wins against the Dolphins and the Bears. And now they've got a winning record. Only team in that division with a winning record. Arizona's just flat out a good team. Blew out Chicago. Didn't even make it close. These guys are rolling now. The Kyler Murray train is all aboard. People keep wanting to doubt him, but he's a good quarterback. And now he's got weapons and Gannon on that defense. Every so often he gets it figured out. They're still not the most consistent team, so they can only be at 12, but when they're locked in, they are very good. They've shown that with big wins this season. They've now beaten the Bears, the Dolphins, the 49ers, the Chargers, the Rams. I mean, they've that's five good wins against teams that are good teams. I mean, Dolphins have a bad record, but with Tua, they're a good team in my opinion, at least average. So it's not many people that can say they've got five wins against, average or above teams. Cardinals can. They are number 12 in my 12 pack. Just ahead of them is the team that will be welcoming in Detroit this week, Texans. They take a big drop. I still think they're a top 12 team because I've got too much respect for CJ Stroud and Tank Dell is a good receiver. Of course, with Nico Collins back, then they solidify themselves, I think, as a top 12 team. The defense has not been as good as they were last year, and really they're just winning every game. It's just a team that every game's coming down to the final margins. So I don't think that they are maybe as good as what that record looked like. Of course, they have lost a couple games recently to the Packers and now to the Jets, which hurt them. But I still think overall they are clearly the best team in the AFC South and one of the 12 best teams in the NFL, if maybe not a top 10 team. At number 10 is one of the teams that did just beat them recently, and the team that the Lions have humiliated recently, the Green Bay Packers. They come in at number 10. Jordan Love, you've got to play better with the football. You cannot be making those mistakes. And these Packers and Texans, two very similar teams. We talked about when they played each other. They were both kind of surprise teams to make the playoffs last year with big pushes. Sometimes you have that sophomore regression. Teams maybe get some tape on you. They start to figure out what you don't do as well as others. And maybe you don't have that. It's not a linear step the next season that, oh, we did this good as a rookie. Now this year we do even better. Maybe we'll just hold the brakes on both those teams. Still good teams, but not in the elite category for me. Number 9 is a team that I have been not giving the respect to all season long. I still think their coach is an absolute fraud, but it's the Philadelphia Eagles, and they almost blew that game to Jacksonville. So they can't go any higher than that for me, but they have been on a winning streak and they've been blowing teams out except for obviously last week they were blowing out the Jaguars and they let them back in, but the week before was the Bengals win and that one was impressive to me. I had the Bengals in my 12 pack at number 12 and I was kind of between the Bengals or the Eagles, who I thought was going to win that game, to be in it, and the Eagles obviously stomped them. So Eagles have to be in there, but just question marks. Don't fully trust that coach and Hurts. He has his moments and then he has his struggles as well. AJ Brown, the health of him, massive because when he's on the field at 100% makes that team so much better. Eagles come in at number 9. At number 8, just ahead of them, is the team across the state, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Russ Wilson has got the Steelers looking good, and obviously we know what that defense is. TJ Watt, is he the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year? He probably should be. He's got a great team around him on that defense. Never makes it easy. Steelers are a strong team at number 8. Just ahead of the Steelers at number 7, rounding out the first half of the 12 pack, the bottom half, the 49ers. Don't have a winning record, but still a really good team. They're getting healthier and they'll be there in the end. So I'm just baking these guys in. Christian McCaffrey, he's finally hit that warm up window. He started practicing again. So they've got 21 days to activate him. Don't think he's going to play this week against the Buccaneers. Think they'll give him one more week. But the Bucs are coming into a short week now after an overtime long game against Kansas City. So that sets up perfectly for San Francisco this week, who's coming off a bye themselves. 49ers will win. They'll get above 500 and they'll be right in the mix. Luke, that's my bottom 6, 7 through 12. Any instant reactions before we go to 1 through 6?
All I'm thinking here is I think Arizona might be a little bit high here. I don't know. I I believe that the Jets are going to be able to beat them this week, and this team's just a little bit too inconsistent. Kyler Murray, he's able to make some plays, but other plays he's not able to make. And you see the ceiling on his play. I feel like they're not a top 12 team right now.
You have in.
Honestly, I'd probably heck, why not throw the Jets in there? I feel like they can make the little sore up. No, I'm just kidding. No, the Chargers should be in. The Chargers definitely should be in this over the Arizona Cardinals.
Cardinals, didn't the
They're a
Cardinals
better
beat the
team.
Chargers? Didn't that game happen? Didn't they play like a couple weeks ago?
Yeah,
Didn't
but
the Chargers not score a touchdown in that game?
I think the Chargers are a better team. They have a better, as far as their offense goes, better quarterback, and their weapons are starting to finally, glue as far as it goes with this offense and with their new head coach, and they have a better defense. I think the Chargers are a better team. It is what it is. I kind of like your pick of the Cardinals. I know you're a big Cardinals supporter, but I really don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. But Fair enough. It's that 12 spot. It is what it is. Also, the 49ers are up a little bit high for me. I would have the Steelers, probably the Eagles ahead of them right now as well. You don't know what they're going to be. Even with even with McCaffrey coming back, they're still a 4-4 team. I think they need to be more in the upper part of that top 10, like 8, 9, 10. But it is what it is. The 49ers, they're going to be a good team at the end of the year based on their history. That's what you think. But I just don't think they're there right now, especially with a lot of the offseason stuff that happened. It doesn't seem like they're really that cohesive of a team as it stands right now. And Ayuk's out for the season. They don't have a whole lot of great pass catchers.
Ricky Pearsall, the rookie, could be coming on. We got 6 teams left. Do you think you know who they are? I'll go ahead and read them off. At number 6 is my boy Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. They come in just ahead of the 49ers, sixth on the 12 pack. They have a big matchup against number 8 Steelers this week on the 12 pack. So Luke likes the Steelers in that game, but I've got Washington ahead of them at number 6 in the NFL. At number 5 is going to be the Buffalo Bills from the AFC East. Buffalo, they've done a good job winning some games recently. They had a scare against Miami. Like Luke said, they love blowing out bad teams and they flounder against good ones. Miami is usually a team that they blow out, but they almost floundered against them. They've got the Chiefs coming up in a week, so that will be really the deciding mark to see if the Bills are any count because they have already lost to 2 AFC teams in this 12 pack, the Ravens and the Texans. At number 4 is the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings, maybe we were too hasty to think they're not that good. Luke, you had them extremely low last week. I think the Minnesota Vikings are still a very good team. A great defense. We talked about that. The Colts could not move the ball at all against them. Brian Flores has these guys playing well. And Darnold, Halloween's over. Pumpkins out the window. There's no more pumpkins. He's ready to play some good ball as long as he can stay in the dome. So I like what the Vikings are doing. Jettas is just unstoppable. Give me Minnesota at number 4. At number 3, the Baltimore Ravens. They are extremely dynamic with Lamar and Derrick Henry, probably 2 of the top 5 MVP candidates still in the league, even though they have 3 losses. They have more losses than almost anybody in this top 10 besides the 49ers. But when they're playing their best, they look extremely good, like they have recently when they were dominating. Well, let's see who they dominate this week. They dominated the Broncos. They dominated the Bills a couple weeks ago. A few weeks in between, it was the Buccaneers. And every time they dominate, those two, Henry and Lamar, just go crazy. Ravens at number 3, they do have their inconsistencies, especially on defense. At number 2, well, we know who the top 2 teams are. It's the Chiefs and the Lions. And, you could put the team that just has a lot of style points and, blows everybody out in the first half at number 1. Or you could put the team that hasn't lost since Christmas, the team that has won back-to-back Super Bowls. They haven't lost in basically 10 months. Last time they lost, you were having dinner with your grandma, opening up your presents under the tree, hoping that Santa Claus was going to bring you something nice. That's how long ago it's been since the Kansas City Chiefs have lost a football game. Patrick Mahomes back cooking offensively. Incredible on third down, incredible in the clutch when he needs to be. The defense is still the best defense in the league. So give me the Chiefs at number 1. Lions are a strong team, top of the NFC at number 2. That is my 12 pack and woo-wee. I'm glad I took that one down. I was mighty thirsty.
All right, before I go into why the Lions are better than the Chiefs, I can't believe you had the Vikings at number 4 in your power rankings in the 12 pack. I thought that you were going to leave them off of the 12 pack. I thought you were going to throw in a sneaky like curveball with the Bengals or the Rams or something whenever it got down to the final 6. I was like, no way, this dude took out the Vikings. Like, I don't know why they're not in the first 6. No, you have them at 4.
Yes.
The Vikings at number 4. I mean, they're not really that good of a team. Sam Darnold is their quarterback. You can't put them up that high. Obviously, they're better than the teams that I just mentioned, but still, having them that high above the Bills is crazy.
I
Above the
know.
Commanders, come on, no way.
The Vikings played the Lions to the death, and then they were on a short week and had a letdown game against the Rams. I don't have any fault in that. Vikings proved to me that they are back. They're fine. They have great quality wins. Those quality wins they still have stand up against the Texans, against the Niners, against the Packers, all teams that are in that middle to bottom of the 12 pack tier. So, yes, they're well above all of them.
All right, well, I just feel like they're on a downward spiral as far as it goes right now. They'll probably get a few more wins, they'll make the playoffs, but I don't see them making a big impact as far as January and February goes this year. That's why there's no way I could have them up that high in my 12 pack. But at this point, it's all about the Lions and Chiefs. The Lions are a better team than the Chiefs. Their quarterback has been playing better. You talk about how, even without if you take quarterbacks out of the picture, the Lions clearly have the best offense. Even with their quarterback, he's been playing the best these past 6 weeks. Not saying that if Mahomes was with the Lions, that the Lions wouldn't probably do even maybe a little bit better, but still, with the offense that they have right now, it's hard to say that any team is going to be able to stop that force whenever it comes to the past 6 weeks and what they've shown on tape. And the Lions are just going to keep rolling. And at this point, it really just comes down to who's going to lose to a bad team that's worse than them because we know this is the best two teams in football and they're not going to play each other until the Super Bowl if and when it does happen. So it's just going to be a debate until that point.
Yeah, who is going to lose next? I guess the Chiefs, when they play on Christmas again this year, they'll probably be 15 and 0, already have the one seed locked up. So I guess they could just do what they did last year. They said if we lose on Christmas Day, then we can just win the rest of the games and win the Super Bowl. So I guess that'll probably be my pick on when the Chiefs lose their next game will be Christmas Day. They play the Steelers. They'll already have the one seed wrapped up. They'll say, "Get on in there, Cars. Go for us, Carson Wentz. See what you can do." And I guess the Chiefs will probably lose to the Steelers on Christmas Day, then go on to win the Super Bowl. So if you're asking me who's going to lose next, if the Lions can go till Christmas, then they might not lose before the Chiefs. But until then, Kansas City's going to keep winning.
Well, there you have it. Hey, we might see him in New Orleans this year. We've been calling it all year. Both of us have the Lions versus Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and it's going to be
Well,
heating
to
up
be
in New
fair,
Orleans.
I called Lions versus Chiefs in the Super Bowl. You had somebody
I
else
did
in
have,
it, didn't you?
yeah, it is what it is. But
Who'd you
hey,
have?
the
The
Chiefs might not
Texans?
make it. You
The
never know.
Texans? Is that who you had?
I did have the Texans, but yeah, the Chiefs might make it. The Texans, it doesn't matter. The Lions are going to beat them. That's all that matters.
To be fair, I did have the Bears winning the division, but the Lions making the Super Bowl. And after the Bears' little meltdown against Arizona and DJ Moore just deciding he wants to be done middle of the play, tough. Especially Bears give up a Hail Mary last week at the end of the game. Then they're like, well, let's not give up a long pass at the end of a half. Let's just give up a long run at the end of the half and let them score that way. But anyway, we don't need any Bears talk to end this one. That's the 12 pack. That is week 10 Hesse Bros pod. Chiefs stay at the top. They've got division rival Denver coming to town. Take Javonte Williams under rushing yards. My upset pick of the week, Miami at Los Angeles Rams Monday night. And Luke, I'll join you on this Thursday night over Ravens Bengals. That'll be fun. Any final thoughts from you this week?
There you have it. It's going to be a great week again. We're in the second half of the season into November, the final 2 months of the regular season. The year's going by fast. You better get your bets in while I can. It's going to be a great rest of the year, and the Lions are going to keep rolling, baby. It's going to be a great rest of the ride. Let's go.
Well, thanks for watching another episode of Hesse Bros Pod. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment your picks or what you disagree or agree with on the 12 pack. And we will see you next week. Go Chiefs, and thanks for watching.